What are marketing research resources? Part 2. Now that we've reviewed what these sources are and how they are made, you may be wondering, which of these sources are the best for you to use? First off, I don't really like using such a value-laden word to describe any information sources. There's not just one best source, because different information sources are going to be useful for you for different purposes. What's useful for an academic assignment or work project isn't going to be the same as what's useful to someone trying to find a fun new beer flavor to try on a Friday night. That's perfectly fine. So it's more helpful to think about what's the most appropriate or most useful to retrieve the information you need at this time. As we've seen these sources so far, hopefully you've been thinking about how all of these could potentially be useful for marketing. However, I encourage you to think about things like the potential bias of sources, expertise or training of the authors, ease of access, and potential cost to retrieve them. You can see how ratebeer.com is going to be very easy to access, but it's also very easy for it to have a lot of bias because there's no editorial oversight, and mostly only people with really strong opinions, positive or negative, are going to take the time to leave a review there. So we have no idea if it's a balanced source. However, the additional editorial oversight and supervision for sources like the IBISWorld report, the scholarly journal article, or many of the trade sources, are in place because that helps to verify things like the author's expertise, authority, and as little bias as possible. So that leads us to our last question on our outline. Once we have some idea about which are the most useful to use for academic purposes, how do we get to these? Just as there are a variety of sources, we use various methods to retrieve them. One system to know about is called the NAICS code system. This is a system developed by the U.S. Census to help identify which companies are in certain industries. You don't need to memorize any of these numbers, but just recognize that it's a hierarchical system. The numbers get progressively more specific as you go from 2 to 6 digits. The numbers can be used in a variety of search tools that we'll see later. They can help you identify your competitors or collaborators in different industries. Some of these sources, particularly trade association websites, have some info freely available online. You can just Google search for trade association in quotation marks, plus a word or two describing your industry, and you'll find a variety of trade associations. Some of these you've probably heard of, like the American Marketing Association, while others are very niche, like associations for fine chocolates or esports. There are even some local and state-specific organizations. Some of their info will be for members only, but usually some of it is free, so it's always worth a look. Again, please use the tutorial buttons to continue the activity.